So there's always this conversation, right, about how streaming services have changed the game. They have reinvented the way we see films, right? Well, that's true in one way that I can think of, and that is the elimination of the obviously straight to video movies. We no longer walk into a blockbuster and go, "What the hell is that?" Starring Cuba Gooding Jr. That didn't go to theaters. Oh, Steven Seagal's got another movie out. Oh, hey, look, that looks like, what is that, Snakes on a Train? You know, instead, now they just go straight to streaming, and it looks like this is a legitimate movie. And bad news, Netflix, this is not a legitimate movie. This is, hey guys, it's me, and I'm here to talk about Netflix's, I don't even know what to call it, latest feces dump called Interceptor. Wow. Oh God, this is one of those. There's nothing. I struggle to find goodness in this film. So, what is Interceptor, other than being terrible? It's a film about, it spends a lot of time at the beginning committing you to the idea of like how our nuclear defense system works, and like if Russia launches rockets, how long it takes the rockets to get here, and that we have this like defense system that launches these interceptor rockets that will blow the nukes out of the sky, and that there are, military forces that are designed to work at these interceptor bases. And the film it's one of those films where, the terrorists are invading some facility, but there's one person who stands against them all. Because apparently these terrorists are well informed enough and well trained enough to be able to infiltrate and get past, the rest of the military, but they can't get past Elsa Pataki, the girl who was killed off by Charlize Theron in the Fast and Furious franchise. I've never thought much of Elsa as an actress. She's never really shown me anything where I'm like, oh, cool. I'm glad she's here. I didn't really miss her when they killed her off in the Fast and Furious franchise. I was kind of like, oh, they brought her back, and they killed her off. Okay, well, that was quick. She wasn't even good in a movie that doesn't even feature good acting. She wasn't even good in the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't know why somebody gave her a movie. I wasn't aware that she was an action star. Like, at least I could understand, like, if this was Ronda Rousey. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is a Ronda Rousey movie. Or even Gina Carano. Like, I know Gina's going through some stuff right now, and nobody can make a movie with her, and she's like sitting in a corner in timeout, but it would have made more sense to put her in an action movie. This feels like the kind of movie that maybe Michelle Yeoh could have made back in the day. But man, no, when you put Elsa Pataki and Luke Bracey, and those are your biggest stars and draws for this film, obviously no one cared. They do not care if you watch Interceptor. There was no thought process put into this film. Those are not movie stars. These are people that would normally fill in roles in straight-to-video movies, that would fill them in Sci-Fi Channel originals. These are not massive celebrity stars. They're people who have happened to be in films that are recognizable enough, that were really cheap, that were able to go into a cheap action movie that has one location, primarily for the entire film, and so they could just churn out this really low budget action film and hopefully get you interested in it. This is the same kind of straight to video schlock that Steven Seagal was releasing all those years. And I don't know, Cuba Gooding Jr. got sucked into, and Nicolas Cage was making for a while. And I guess Bruce Willis made like 8 of these last year before retiring. So um, this is not something that we should be excited about. I saw people reviewing this, and some people were like, "Ooh, the action's really cool." It's like, maybe it looks cool. I don't know. I'm a blind film critic, so I don't know. Maybe I've heard that they like the fact that there weren't a lot of cuts in the action scenes. I'm like, is the bar so low? Elsa Pataki can, like, dialogue is not her thing. She's definitely a strong silent type. I would have given her the least amount of dialogue possible. And honestly, Luke Bracey's not very good either. I would have given him the least amount of dialogue possible. There's no one in here who can actually have good dialogue. The dialogue's bad too. There was a point in the film where I literally said the line that was coming. I didn't even know it was coming. It was the line when she gets stuck and there's this other like nerdy guy that's like the other guy that's stuck with her, so he's like completely useless because he's nerdy. And he's trying to talk down this other guy, and he's like, "I know you. You're not a bad guy. You're not a murderer." And then, like, for a second there, the audio description lets you know that the guy's like he's thinking about it. He lowers the gun, and I knew what the next line was, and I said it in my head, and then the character on screen said it. "You're right. I'm not a murderer. I'm a patriot." And I was like, oh my God, I fucking knew he was going to say that. Like, it is that level of shitty writing. It is so predictable. It's so bad. This is a film I actually considered like not finishing and actually like turning off and just reviewing it anyway. And being like, yeah, I saw like the first hour of this and then I was like, fuck it. I just like let it go. I just turned it off. And I don't know, but I feel like I have to stay in it now because of the audio description, because it could be something weird with the audio description towards the end of the film, you know, and if I don't stay in there. Anyway. So that's the film. It's terrible. It's garbage. The audio description, yeah. So I noticed some stuff when I was watching Stranger Things recently in episode 3, where there was like an audio quality disparity in a couple of the sequences. It happens once in this, and it's very odd because you can hear it. It has nothing to do with, because a lot of people call me on it, they were like, oh, well, there's like dialogue translation and Stranger Things. Maybe it was that, and I couldn't remember because it happened a couple of times. I couldn't remember where each instance was. But this one happens one time, and it's when they're describing what Elsa's character looks like. You can listen to it. The sound clicks out. It sounds like it's been pasted back in. Like somebody didn't like the original description of her character, and they had to re-record it, and then they had to place it back in. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like the same recording of the rest of the film. So I don't know what happened. I don't know, like, did somebody misdescribe her? Was she underdescribed? I have no idea. But it's very weird. It's noticeable. So when you get to that point, it's towards the beginning of the film, and you should notice it. I've told you exactly where it is. It's right when her character is introduced, which is like right at the beginning of the film. After they've gone through the unnecessary exposition, because this plot thinks it's more confusing than it is. You know what? It's not that confusing. Like, we've seen movies like Broken Arrow before. You're not that smart. You didn't come up with that cool of an idea. Calm down. A general audience who's seen enough action films like this could have figured this plot out. We didn't need, we didn't need a history lesson to figure this film out. Otherwise, the audio description was fine. I commend them for the audio description. It was, there's a lot of action sequences. There's some like sneaking around and surprises and twists and turns in the action and whatever. So, yeah. The action sequences are the film's strongest points. The weakest points are where they just sit and talk to each other, because it's a little bit like Panic Room, where Elsa's in a room that Luke Bracey and his team want to get in. So action can't happen because they're not in the same room. So then they just try to like talk each other to death, and they end up talking the audience to death. But the action sequences are strong. I'm sure Elsa went through I'm sure she did a lot of her own fighting and fight choreography. If not, then why did they choose her? You know, like, she has nothing to offer. So I'm assuming the one thing she had to offer was the fact that she did her own fight choreography. That's it. Because if she didn't even do that, then I don't know. Like, why? Why? There's nothing redeemable about her performance unless she was just put in there because she can do her own stunts. You know, she knows martial arts or mixed martial arts or something. And that was it, that she was able to do her own stunt work. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I don't think anybody should be a fan of this. I think this is the kind of film that, you know, when Netflix threatens to make less movies, but like spend more on a couple of blockbusters, it's like, yeah, I could do with less Interceptors. So by all means, if it means less Interceptors, this was money wasted. I'm not sure it was a lot of money. I'm going to guess maybe $1 million on this. I'm going to guess this was a really low budget. Maybe $2 million went into this film. But I'm going to guess this film was made for $1 million or less. I'm guessing these actors were paid peanuts. So, yeah, this is, I saw Chris Hemsworth was a producer, and I was like, could you imagine if Chris Hemsworth was in this movie? Like, I mean, first of all, it would have dramatically improved. Half of the other lead would immediately be more interesting than Luke Bracey. And then it could have possibly attracted a female lead to act opposite Chris Hemsworth, who actually had charisma and could read dialogue and had personality. Elsa has none of those things. I know, like, English is not her first language or whatever, but there are a lot of people who English is not their first language, and they're fantastic actors and actresses. So, you know what, Ana de Armas and Penelope Cruz and, you know, Antonio Banderas and just a whole bunch of people who have come here and have delivered amazing performances. The talent is not there. So, yeah, ripped into this film. Don't worry, I'm hoping I intercepted you before you watched this. Yeah, so I'm going to give Interceptor a D-. I'm giving it not an F, simply because the action sequences were mildly entertaining. That's it. That's the only reason. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you accidentally watch this? Did you finish it? Throw me a like, throw me a subscribe. Check out more of my reviews at macmovieguy.com. You can use the audio description project to find other films that are not this to watch. And you can use the adna.org, the adna.org, to see who describes what and what other films they've done or TV shows. If you recognize a voice, you can look it up over there, the adna.org. So check those out, and I will see you when Netflix regurgitates more vomit onto us with their next film. I don't know what it'll be, but I'm sure it'll be a gem. Side note, Hulu did not put audio description on Fire Island, which is the film I would have preferred to watch this week. I actually started watching like the first 5 minutes of it just to make sure there was no audio description. And I watched the 5 minutes I saw of Fire Island were infinitely better without audio description than the entirety of Interceptor with audio description. Let me just tell you that. So I'm giving it a minute to see whether or not Hulu actually ever adds that audio description to that film, because I'd love to watch it and review it. But that was already had me like in less than 5 minutes or something than Interceptor. So God, I don't know. I don't know what happened, Netflix. This is I'm very ashamed. I feel like I should get a free month subscription after watching this. God, this movie's terrible. All right, sorry. I'm going to end the video now.